As you get older, it is important to monitor your pulse. The incidence of cardiac pacemaker insertion goes up exponentially with age. Let's have a look at the graph. As you can see in the graph, at age 60, the line goes up exponentially. So by the time you are 80, the chances are pretty darn good you probably are going to need a cardiac pacemaker. Now, while a cardiac pacemaker is required for a slow heartbeat, a rapid heartbeat can be atrial fibrillation. Let's look at the incidence of atrial fibrillation. If you are over the age of 60, the chances of atrial fibrillation is going to go up exponentially. The same as a slow heartbeat, a fast heartbeat is the same problem. One of the major causes of a fast heartbeat is atrial fibrillation, and it is the 5th leading cause of stroke. It's Ron Brown with Tech for Senior. I am a senior and a retired physician. I make videos about your health. Today I want to talk about stroke prevention using a smartwatch. Let's have a look at this, but before we do, you remember the like and subscribe. If you want to be kept up to date on future videos about your health, just click the subscribe button at the bottom and then turn on the notification. If you do that, we'll notify you when new videos come out. So for full disclosure, I purchased a Fitbit Sense watch and a Galaxy Watch 4 with my hard-earned retired money. The opinions in this video are mine alone and not supported by any commercial product. I've made over 10 videos about smartwatches and your health, including a very popular series, Saving Your Life with Wearable Technology. I will put the link to those videos in the description below, so if you want to watch them, just click the link. And remember, if you want to be notified, click the subscribe and notification buttons. Now, the symptoms of atrial fibrillation can be a bit of a fluttering in your chest or some palpitations, but also you may be asymptomatic. What do we mean by that? Well, you don't know you have it. And that is one of the big problems with atrial fibrillation and stroke, is that oftentimes when you come in with a stroke, you don't know you've had atrial fibrillation. Now, all the watches work exactly the same way. You require a watch, you require a phone, and the two have to be paired together. When you start to feel symptoms, then you are going to activate a feature on the watch called the ECG app. Now, this app works exactly the same on all 3 watches. You will activate it. It will then do what we call an ECG, which is a heart test. Now, the secret sauce is that the watch will actually interpret the ECG and tell you if you have atrial fibrillation. It does not tell you if you're having a heart attack. It does not tell you if your heart is healthy. The only purpose of the ECG app is to tell you if you have atrial fibrillation or you do not. All 3 watches work exactly the same way and have been approved for this by the FDA in the United States. So the 3 watches that have been approved by the FDA to detect atrial fibrillation are the Apple Watch, the Fitbit Sense, and the Galaxy Watch 4. I own the Fitbit Sense and the Galaxy Watch 4. Now, I've told you in the previous slide that they work exactly the same way. You have symptoms of atrial fibrillation, you activate the ECG app, and it says you do or do not have atrial fibrillation. So although they work exactly the same way, there are some unique features with each watch, which I'm going to explain now. So the ECG app on the Apple Watch has been available since Series 4. Series 4 to 7 has the ECG app and atrial fibrillation detection. Now, the ECG app has been approved by the FDA in the United States and by Health Canada. As you know, the Apple Watch is sold globally. Apple does a very good job of getting the ECG app approved in each country it's licensed to use this in. Good job, Apple. Now, unlike the Apple Watch, which must be paired to an iPhone for it to work, it only works on the Apple system, the Fitbit Sense can be used either on Android or iOS. So if you do have an iPhone, you can use a Fitbit Sense with it, and the ECG feature will work. So it works on both the Android and iOS. Now, the ECG app has been approved in Canada and the United States, so you're able to do atrial fibrillation detection. As you know, this watch is sold globally, and generally there's been slow approval processes in getting this ECG app up and going. You'll find large markets like India, where it was sold into, still don't have this app approved and working. Now, I'm going to tell you about a new feature that's coming, so stay tuned to the end of the video. The Galaxy Watch 4, of course, is made by Samsung. Most of the non-cardiac features will work with all Android phones. However, the ECG app, which also includes blood pressure, will only work with Samsung phones. The ECG app was approved about 3 months after the Samsung Galaxy 4 watch was introduced in the United States, but it took 8 months before it was finally approved in Canada. There is definitely a slow approval of this ECG app as this watch is sold globally. Now, the ECG app requires regulatory approval in each country. In other words, the manufacturers of these devices have to submit data to the regulatory bodies, and they have to approve the information. And this is to make sure that these devices actually do what they claim to be able to do. Now, in the United States, the FDA has approved the Apple Watch, the Fitbit Sense, and the Galaxy 4 watch to be able to diagnose atrial fibrillation. These have been approved as level 2 medical devices, such as an ECG in a hospital. So you know if you purchase them, yes, they are going to work. But these watches are sold globally. So each country has the regulatory approval, and they must be approved in each country before the app is turned on. So it is so important, if you are considering purchasing this watch, that you make sure the app is available in the country that you're going to be using it in. Now, in my case, I bought a Fitbit Sense watch when it first came out. It wasn't until a year later that Health Canada actually approved the app. And with the Galaxy Watch 4 I purchased, it was 8 months before the approval process was completed in Canada. In fact, it was just last week. So if you have a Galaxy Watch 4, you are in Canada, yes, the app has been approved now, and you can use the ECG and blood pressure app on your Galaxy Watch 4 in Canada. A concern I have is that Google and Samsung are very slow in getting the approval process done. And in my case, I was a registered owner of both these watches, and I never got a notification or email when the approval process was done in Canada. I get lots of marketing wanting to sell me other stuff, but I never got an email saying that there was an approval process done. There's no place to get information. You can't go to their website. They don't have any pages that say, yes, these are the countries it's being approved on. This is the status. This is how long we're waiting. Nope, nothing like that at all. And the only way that you really have been able to get information about this is in the community forums on those sites. So please be cautious about this, because if the ECG app is not approved, it may be a very long time, even though the watch is sold in that country. So I've told you all these 3 watches work exactly the same. You develop some palpitations or a fluttering in your chest. You then do the ECG on your watch. Then it identifies whether you have or have not got atrial fibrillation. The problem is that many patients don't know they have atrial fibrillation, so they would never activate the ECG feature. The big news that has occurred in this past month is that Fitbit now has been approved by the FDA to passively monitor your heart. And this is not just probably going to be on the Fitbit Sense, but many of the Fitbit product line. This is an app that will work 24/7, your heartbeat, and tell you if you have, but other potentially serious, what we call arrhythmias of your heart. This is indeed exciting news, and I'm going to have a lot more to say about this when the app is released. So lots of interesting news. We have a new app coming out from Fitbit, and also a new Pixel watch coming out, which may have some new health features as well. If you are concerned about your health and want to learn more about how upcoming technology can help you, then click the subscribe and notification below, and we'll let you know as new videos come out. It's Ron Brown with Tech for Senior. Have a great day.
Browser cookies, I'm Hewie Poplock. Cookies. As an avid internet surfer, you've most likely heard of cookies. No, we're not talking about the ones filled with chocolate chips. We're talking about the ones that allow you to log into your favorite websites. Cookies may impact your online security, so check out these tips to manage them and keep your online accounts safe. What are cookies in browsers? Ever wonder how a website saves the items you placed in your shopping cart last week, even though you closed the tab before making the purchase? This is made possible by cookies. According to the Federal Trade Commission, a cookie is information saved by your web browser. When you visit a website, the site may place a cookie on your web browser so it can recognize your device in the future. If you return to that site later, it can read that cookie to remember you from your last visit, keeping track of your activities over time. Cookies come in either the first-party or third-party variety. There's no difference between the two in how they function, but rather in where and how you encountered them. First-party cookies belong to sites you visited firsthand in your browser. Third-party cookies, or tracking cookies, generally come from third-party advertising websites. Although cookies generally function the same, there are technically two different types of cookies. Magic cookies refer to packets of information that are sent and received without changes. Historically, this would be used to log into a computer database system, such as an internal business network. This concept predates the modern cookie we use today. HTTP cookies are a repurposed version of the magic cookie, built for internet browsing and managing online experiences. HTTP cookies help web developers give you more personalized, convenient website experiences. They allow sites to remember you, your website logins, and shopping carts, so you can pick back up where you left off from your last visit. However, cyber criminals can manipulate HTTP cookies to spy on your online activity and steal your personal information. Cookie hijacking, also known as session hijacking, is typically initiated when a cyber criminal sends you a fake login page. If you click on the fake link, the thief can steal the cookie and capture anything you type while on the fraudulent website. Like a phishing attack, cookie hijacking allows a cyber criminal to steal personal information like usernames, passwords, and other important data held within the cookie. If you enter your information while on the fake website, the criminal can then put that cookie in their browser and impersonate you online. They may even change your credentials, locking you out of your account. Sometimes criminals initiate cookie hijacking attacks without a fake link. If you're browsing on an unsecured public Wi-Fi connection, hackers can easily steal your data that's traveling through the connection. This can happen even if the site is secure and your username and password are encrypted. Because the data in cookies doesn't change, cookies themselves aren't harmful. they can't infect computers with viruses or malware. But if your cookies are hijacked as part of a cyber attack, a criminal could gain access to your browsing history and use cookies as the key to enter your locked accounts. For example, a hacker may steal your identity or confidential company information, purchase items in your online shopping carts, or loot your bank account. Preventing cookie hijacking attacks can allow you to browse the internet with greater peace of mind. Follow these tips to not only safeguard your personal information, but to also enhance your browsing experience. Make it a habit to clear your cookie cache regularly to prevent cookie overload, which could slow your search speeds. Also, almost every browser has the option to enable or disable cookies on your computer. So if you don't want them at all, your browser support section can walk you through on how to disable them. Although it's convenient to not have to retype your credentials into a website you frequently visit, autofill features could make it easier for a criminal to extract your data with cookie hijacking. Plus, autofill is risky if your physical device falls into the wrong hands. To browse more securely without having constantly re-enter your passwords, use a password manager. Strong, unique passwords for each of your accounts, updated regularly, offer ample protection against hackers. Multi-factor authentication, or MFA, adds yet another layer of security by double-checking your identity beyond your username and password, usually with a texted or email code. When your account offers MFA, always opt in. Criminals can hijack your cookies if you're browsing on an unsecured public Wi-Fi connection. To prevent a criminal from swiping your data, use a virtual private network, or VPN, a service that protects your data and privacy online. A VPN creates an encrypted tunnel that makes you anonymous by masking your IP address while connecting to public Wi-Fi hotspots. This is a great way to shield your information from online spies while you're banking, shopping, or handling any kind of sensitive information online. Use antivirus software, allowing you to keep your online passwords, which are often stored in cookies, in one secure location. Warning you of suspicious links, keeping potentially harmful cookies off your device, protecting you against viruses and malware, and blocking spam and emails that could lead to sites containing dangerous cookies. Let's look at some of my cookies. First, we have to find them. In order to do that on my Windows machine, first you click the three dots or parallel bars menu button. 2, choose the Settings option. Scroll down to Privacy and Security section. Click on Cookies and Other Site Data, then followed by See All Cookies and Site Data. You will be shown a list of all websites which have stored cookies on your computer. I don't clear out my cookies very often. In fact, I have over 4,200 listed when I did this. But you go to Privacy and Security and then All Cookies and Site Data. Notice where my scroll bar is at the top. We scroll down and we're still only a small way down. Notice there are different items listed in my cookies. There's a cookie, there's cache storage, service workers, file system, local storage, database storage, local service, and service workers. So there's different types of cookies that are stored on your system. Let's take a look at one of the items in my cookies. Let's look at northerntool.com. It's showing 25 cookies there. And when I click on that, it'll list several of them. Obviously, not all of them are on the screen here, but as I click on one of them, this is the information I get. I did gray out a portion because I am not sure what that content would be if someone tried to copy it and do something with it. So I did cover up some of it. but you'll notice some of the information that it stores in my cookie for that particular item. Let's take another one. Online.inpixio.com. It's local storage. When I look at it, it doesn't have nearly the amount of information. It just has the local storage, the origin, where it came from, the size on my disk, and then when it was last modified. And then finally, one of the things that you need to do to protect yourself is keep your operating system and browser updated. Browser cookies. I'm Hewie Poplock.
Tech support scammers target older people because they believe them to be more trusting, and they tend to be more financially secure than younger people. When Phyllis Weisberg, 90, received a phone call claiming that there was an issue with her computer, she knew she had to do something right away. The person on the other end told her that they could help her, but it would be for a fee. Phyllis, a widow, trusted the young person on the other end of the line, and she went right to her bank to arrange a wire. They warned me not to discuss the issue on the telephone with anyone because these bad guys could hear all my conversations, Phyllis says. They sent me an address and asked me to send a wire with money. I went to the branch closer to home. A very young fellow asked me the questions the scammers told me he would ask, and I responded in the way they asked me to. I had all the answers programmed for me. Unfortunately, the people calling were not there to help. They were thieves conducting a tech support scam, which is when a scammer calls, messages, emails, or uses pop-ups to convince someone that there's an issue with their device. Through the wire and other tactics, they gained access to Phyllis's bank account and stole $20,000. The scammers used high-pressure scare tactics to gain remote access to victims' computers, or, as was the case with Phyllis, to get them to send large amounts of cash. They usually pose as someone from a recognized, reputable organization, like a bank, hospital, or software company. We've even had reports of scammers posing as Avast in order to create an immediate layer of trust with potential victims. My first reaction was total embarrassment that I would do anything that stupid, Phyllis says. It took me quite a while to realize I wasn't the only one who was being taken advantage of. All I can do now is warn others and just hope that this will at least help one other person avoid going through this. And Phyllis is not alone. A 2021 survey conducted by Avast in partnership with YouGov found that 82% of people over the age of 65 in the U.S. have received a phone call from someone who was trying to scam them. We also observed a 251% increase in consumer attacks from January 2021 to December of the same year. And according to the FBI, 66% of the victims of tech support scams in 2020 were over 60 years of age, and the total loss of money amounted to over $116 million. Tech support scammers specifically target older people because they believe them to be more trusting, hope they might have memory problems, and they tend to be more financially secure than younger people. They are professionals whose entire job is scamming and stealing money from people like Phyllis. Luckily, there are ways to protect yourself and your loved ones against this kind of scam, and you've already taken the first step by reading this. You should also know that no legitimate tech support will ever contact you without you contacting them first. If someone does, hang up immediately and call someone you trust right away. People Phyllis's and my age need to unlearn what we were taught as children. It's no longer safe to trust everyone that sounds genuine and believable. Trust but verify must become our new motto. If you've already given them, the scammers, access to your devices or your bank account, call your financial institution immediately. Let them know what happened and see if it's possible to block any outgoing payments or wires. Then call a legitimate company to make sure that your device doesn't have any viruses or lingering software placed there by the scammers. The best way to ensure that a company is legitimate is to get contact information from someone in your life that you trust, or to navigate to a website on your own. Do not call any number or click any links sent to you by someone you don't know, even if you recognize the name of the organization they claim to be from. Again, trust, but verify. Read Emma McGowan's excellent article by following the link below. 𝐓𝐼𝐍 has teamed up with the National Council on Aging in order to help you protect yourself and your loved ones from tech support and other scams. Head over to their Avoiding Scams for Older Adults page and watch the video linked below for more information. Stay safe, stay secure, and I'll see you again soon.